So Bernie Sanders to bring Yemen War Power Resolution to the floor as soon as next week. So what this was they're going to try. So, the United States is helping commit a genocide in Yemen. And we have been for years. While we're also occupying Syria to steal their oil, while we turned Libya into a failed state, and while we killed 1 million people in Iraq. But right now in Yemen, we're helping Saudi Arabia commit a genocide. And Bernie Sanders was going to submit a resolution that was going to stop it, right? So, good news. Bernie Sanders, by the way, and here was Scott Horton. He's like, I know I'm trying y'all with... So he wanted us to call our senators... Sweet, innocent Scott Horton wanted us to call our senator... You can call your senators, but they're just going to be jerking off when you're on the line with them. So Bernie Sanders standing up against the war pigs, and then of course he didn't. Of course he didn't. Of course he immediately folded.
What are you, dense?
Bernie Sanders caves into White House pressure. There will be no vote on the Yemen War Powers Resolution. What a coward. That's Dave DeCamp says that. And so here it is. Sanders withdraws Yemen War Powers Resolution vote over Biden opposition. So first of all, look at him here. Here's Bernie with his mask on. There's mask Bernie. He's very resolute with his mask on. Who took that picture, by the way? Did you ever wonder who took that picture? What a creative angle. I think that's the same view Bernie gets when he's blowing Biden. So he caved.
That was a Bernie's eye view.
So yeah, he cited the White because Joe Biden promised to veto it. That's what Bernie said. Well, here's what he said. The Intercept reported earlier in the day that the White House was pressuring senators to vote against the bill, and Democrats came out in opposition to Sanders' resolution earlier on Tuesday, including California's Senator Alex Padilla. So Alex Padilla is a war pig. He was for it. He's my senator here in California. So the White House pressured senators to vote against it. Man, I'm sure Kyle Kalinske is going to be all over that portion of the story. That is going to be the portion he focuses on the most. What's Bernie supposed to do? You got to be nice. Sanders' justification for not holding the vote, or get this, was that the administration, meaning Joe Biden, claimed that Joe Biden's White House would work with Congress to end the war in Yemen. Well, why not just sign the resolution then?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we want to do it, but we don't want to do it like that. Isn't that weird? Mm-hmm. He said the White House wanted to work with us on crafting language that would be mutually acceptable, and insisted that it didn't happen. If it didn't happen, that Bernie would resume his efforts to end the war through a resolution. Boy, if there's one man in the world whose word you can trust, it's Joe Biden's. Am I right? I would leave Joe Biden in a room alone with my wife, and I have done that many times. Of course, I was handcuffed to a toilet. But even if the White House really wants to engage with Congress on the issue, which they don't, or if Sanders chooses to reintroduce the resolution, the plan will take time, which Yemenis don't have. There's been a cessation in violence in Yemen with no Saudi airstrikes since March, but there has been a recent uptick in fighting on the ground. A ceasefire expired in October, and without a real peace deal, the war could flare up again anytime soon. The resolution could have ended U.S. support for the Saudi-led coalition, including maintenance of its warplanes, which would effectively ground the Saudi Air Force. Well, excuse us, Yemenis. We got a lot on our plate, too. I don't know if you heard, but Twitter is letting people I hate say things that I hate. It's like emotionally having your legs blown off, okay? So we're a little busy. Sorry you don't have a lot of time. we're a little busy. Even if Biden vetoed the resolution, its passage through Congress would have sent a message to the White House and Riyadh that to work faster on the real end to the war. While Democrats started to fold in their support for the resolution, Republican Senators Rand Paul and Mike Lee both came out in favor of the legislation. So look at that. People who the Democrat, the liberalati on Twitter for sure, hate their guts. Here they are doing the right thing. I wonder if it's okay to say that. Can you say that they are doing the right thing, or will I get kicked out of the cult? Because that's what the Democrats...
You've already been kicked out a long time ago.
Yeah, so I know. I've been kicked out. I'm not in the cult. I know.
You'll never get back in.
In the House version of the resolution was also in the House. A version of the resolution was also introduced that has gained 118 co-sponsors, including 10 Republicans. The United States first intervened back in the Saudi United Arab Emirate-led coalition in Yemen against the Houthis in 2015. A few months earlier, the Obama administration was sharing intelligence with the Houthis as part of an effort against the Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. So Barack Obama and the United States were fighting with the people of Yemen against terrorists. But then Saudi Arabia, after the Obama administration switched sides against the Houthis to join with Saudi Arabia because of the petrodollar, the U.S.-backed coalition recruited al-Qaeda fighters, and the U.S. arms ended up in the hands of the terror group. So the United States, again, working with what we're supposed to say is our existential enemy, which is al-Qaeda, which they said did 9/11, and so we're supposed to hate them. But of course, the United States is in bed supporting al-Qaeda all over the Middle East, in Syria, in Libya, and now in here in Yemen.
Boy, it was nice of Al-Qaeda to take us back as a pal after all.
Right? Isn't it? According to UN estimates, by the end of 2021, at least 377,000 people have been killed in the Yemen war. The United States said that about 150,000 people had died in violence, while the rest were killed by starvation and disease caused by the war and the blockade on the country. The United States coalition is notorious for bombing civilians. The U.S.-backed coalition is notorious for bombing civilians, and civilian casualties spiked earlier this year, right before the ceasefire was reached in March. Here's Bernie Sanders. Today, I withdrew from consideration by the United States Senate my War Powers Resolution after my good friend Joe Biden jizzed in my face and agreed to continue working with my office on ending the war in Yemen. What a fight. Today, I again wiped the seed of a stronger man from my chin after the Biden administration agreed to continue to work with my office to bend me over my desk with the copy of the Green New Deal stuffed into my mouth. I'd like to say it was against my will, but let's face it, it's not like I fought back. You misspelled Democrats, told me to withdraw it. She knows. Caitlin Johnstone knows.
I told them to leave it in.
Let me be clear. If we do not reach an agreement, I will, along with my colleagues, bring this resolution back for a vote in the near future when the Democrats lose control of the House, so that it will never fucking pass in the House. So this is all bullshit, what I'm telling you. I'm just the biggest bullshitter as Ted fucking Cruz right now. That's what Bernie's telling you. I'm a bullshitter who will bend his knee to the war machine at every fucking turn. That's who Bernie is.
You know what's funny is a bunch of Republicans were voting for it, so he should bring it back, but he won't.
He won't. So Justin Amash says, at which time the House, under GOP control, will block your efforts. But you know that already, as does the Biden administration, which is why they don't want you to pass this joint resolution now, when all the pressure is on the president, because his party currently controls everything. What I'm acknowledging is that both Republicans and Democrats in government are addicted to war. They're playing a game. When Trump was president, everybody knew he wouldn't sign a Yemen joint resolution, so it passed Congress. Biden has to pretend he'd sign it, so he needs Congress to block it. And so I said he's just a water boy to the pro-Wall Street, anti-worker, pro-war party. What a disappointment. Michael Tracy says the awkward thing about this Bernie Sanders War Powers Resolution on Yemen is its definition of hostilities would easily apply to U.S. military operations in Ukraine and then some. So you can see why Biden would want the resolution pulled and why Bernie would swiftly comply. So what he's saying is in this War Powers Act, if they got to stop Yemen war, they could use it to stop the Syrian war. They could use it to stop the Ukraine war. They could use it to stop what we're doing maybe in Ethiopia. They could use it to stop us what we're doing everywhere. So that's what Michael Tracy's saying. So, hey, good for Bernie. He's staying consistent. He's being a total cuck and a war pig. So, boy, there is no bigger disappointment in my life politically than Bernie Sanders. I'll tell you that. Holy shit. Unbelievable. Just really unbelievable. Wow. Anything you want to say, Kurt? No?
Well, that's that new kind of warfare they're trying out. So the kind that we just got done doing was the Afghanistan kind. And now the new style we're experimenting with is just giving a lot of our hand-me-down guns to another country to do it.
Yes.
And seriously, that's what they're trying to work out for real. It's like some planned out, think tank idea. And so that they want to really see how it works out, even though you already know how it's going to work out.
Unbelievable. Hey, we're doing live stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, December 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 30th. And we're going to be in Tempe, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Nashville. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets. See you there.